Well, I want to go back to the beginning, the first question we asked again about strategy. Okay, so we like to talk about leadership and leaders and executives and how, in our book, about how they need to change their mindset and thinking. So if content becomes a strategic imperative, what is the source of the ideas in the content? Not necessarily the content itself. That's kind of they ask you answer thing where you might document a specific answer, but I'm talking about the tone and the kind of foundational piece of it. We talk a lot about the company's mission, their why, and their culture being really critical to the whole process of inbound. Can you talk a little bit about how those kind of going to those foundational things for executives and leaders with mission and culture is reflected in content?
Yeah, so understanding your business's why is extremely important. And the way that I help businesses figure out what their why is building a content mission statement. And what a content mission statement essentially is this is what my business does and what we sell, but that's probably not what you're trying to communicate to your audience, right? Maybe you're communicating to them how you're going to make a difference in their lives around this specific piece. So understanding the why behind your business and what you're ultimately trying to do can set the entire tone for your content strategy. And your content mission statement should be so clear that if you were to give that to somebody joining your organization, they'd be able to create a piece of content immediately without talking to anybody, because they ultimately know the purpose and the vision of what the business is trying to accomplish.
That's really interesting. I couldn't agree with you more. That executives need to understand and communicate that mission and culture very clearly, so that they can let their team go and let them go produce without having to send every piece of content back up the food chain to find out if it fits the mission and the strategy and the structure. That's one of the big things we talk to clients about as well, because one of the things we've seen that has hindered content creation and hence the kind of advantages that companies can get is that there's this kind of paralysis around content where there's 17 people have to sign off on it and everybody's afraid to send anything out because it might make the guy at the top of the food chain or the lady at the top of the food chain unhappy. Again, I believe that the mission culture relate to that, dealing with that problem. Have you ever seen that? And if you have, how do you kind of recommend companies deal with that?
Yeah, so that happens all the time, and that's a byproduct of being disorganized. Like whenever you're wanting to create, if you're going to create content and if you're going to create a content marketing process for your business, we talked about how you need to know your buyer persona, plan out the next steps of everything. But once you actually start creating the content, it can get hairy really quickly if you don't have a specific process or framework in hand. And inbound content, the book that I wrote with HubSpot Academy, it shows how you can develop a framework for creating content for your business. And that includes like a style guide, that includes a review process. The review process is huge. You really need to understand who needs to look at this. What are they looking at this for? Are they looking at it for grammar? Are they looking at it for subject matter? But I think, like you said, some people, if they're disorganized, they create a piece of content and then it just gets circulated, and then there's an approval. If you're not clear about it, it's going to take forever. So I think the best thing somebody can do, there needs to be like a content owner. There needs to be somebody who manages the process and then figure out what is that process. Like, is there an editor? Is there somebody else who needs to look at this? And if you can design the process and get buy-off from the executive team on that, then you won't have those bottlenecks. But you don't want to create bottlenecks, because then it's just going to be really hard to create content. And whenever you make anything difficult, whether it's creating content, whether it's trying to learn how to change your oil in a car, you're not going to do it. So you want to try to make it easy and seamless and make sure that others can do it as well, so that your car's not running out of oil.